So this is not terribly surprising, especially along the front end of this line. Looks like the rotation that they're talking about here is going to be right near Belle Chase and pushing east. So again, this technically includes Orleans, but I think that's just going to be barely clipping parts of Orleans Parish. You can hear our alerts going off. So I'm going to stay on because we do now have this tornado warning. I thought I just saw Josh Robertson come in here. I think he'll be joining us here shortly. But again, tornado warning now in effect, and this is going to be for areas like English Turn. I want you in your safe place immediately. Violet, Poydras. This is where I'm thinking that rotation that they're talking about is kind of right between English Turn and Belle Chase. So this is going to keep moving east, guys. This is going to move right toward Poydras and Violet. Please get in your safe place. That's going to be the innermost portion of your home. Could also be the lowest level of your home, and could also be a bathroom or a closet. So somewhere away from windows is where you want to get. And again, these are moving pretty fast. I want you to get there immediately. Let me just check out a little bit more information. This is moving east at 25 miles per hour. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Violet, near Belle Chase. And just to get a little more information on this, again, this could be around Poydras and Violet around 3:45, which is coming up on 1 minute from now. So very important that you go ahead and take shelter now. And then also Shell Beach area, this could be to you by around 4:15. So that's kind of extrapolating this well out, but spots like Wood Lake, Delacroix, Verret, Reggio, those are going to be some of the areas that need to be preparing, start moving toward your safe place. Unfortunately, getting the kids up if that's necessary to get them into a safe location. But Violet and Poydras, you need to be in your safe place right now because, again, this is the area that I am most concerned with. I'm going to freeze this now. Let's just bring this into real time so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Kind of highlighting this area that I've circled, just southeast of Chalmette, moving toward the Violet Poydras area. That's where we expect that rotation is right now. So if you are in Chalmette, I think it's important to note, yes, you probably just got dinged on your phone. If the Fox 8 weather app woke you up and you are checking in with us, I'm thankful that you're doing so. But I think Chalmette is okay right now because the rotation is south of you and because it is moving east. So yes, you're technically included in this polygon. I, of course, want you to always take these very seriously and check in with us. Spots like Belle Chase can start coming out of their safe place as well, but you definitely want to stay indoors. There's a lot of lightning outside down by Bayou Cane and Crown Point, a lot of thunderstorm activity. But again, the rotation that we're most concerned with is just southeast of Chalmette, really moving into that Violet Poydras area right now. And in addition to that, I don't want to neglect that we are also seeing very heavy rain. So this pink box is our tornado warning. Again, that's near the Poydras Violet area. Right now, it is over top of that area is where we have the strongest rotation. That's going to be pushing toward Hopedale. We also, in green, you see here highlighted and sort of this light blue, a flood advisory and a flash flood warning, which is even a step higher than that for the metro area. That's because we have had rain rates exceeding 4 inches an hour, providing some very heavy rainfall that has led to closures. For those of you just joining us, if you were thinking about making your way into the city, whether from the North Shore, from the West Bank, from St. Bernard, or from the river parishes, you know, the river parishes, they know because they went through it early this morning too. It's heading toward Chalmette, as we talked about just now. I have an update. We don't have as many underpasses closed any longer. We still do have 4 that are closed. Because of these heavy rain rates, the Canal Underpass, the Broad Underpass, the Gentilly 610 Underpass, and the Carrollton Underpass. Those 4 underpasses are closed right now, and we do have a tornado warning that, again, is going to be in effect. One of our producers, Rita, said We just got a call from a Metairie homeowner who says the canals are overtopping near him off West Esplanade near the lake. And that's what we're seeing right now. And again, the underpasses, again, we have 4 that are currently closed. That's down from about 7 or 8. So as this rain has eased up, the pumps are trying to catch up. Again, as I mentioned, this could be a slow catch up because we still have some rain in the area. Switching it back to radar just for a quick second here for you to show you over the last, say, 15 minutes, putting this into motion, the heaviest of the rain has moved out. There's still some light rain falling across the New Orleans area and certainly right along the river. We're still seeing some very heavy rainfall. Algiers Point and parts of the West Bank are still seeing very heavy rainfall. But for Metairie, Kenner, Gentilly, Mid-City, City Park, Bayou St. John, for all of those neighborhoods that really got hit hard about 30 minutes ago, that rain has now moved out of your area. It is producing a tornado warning. The front edge of this line, which I warned folks along the twin span, not a good idea to be there right now. That's not where the tornado warning is. Whoop. Sorry, my Viper's going a little crazy on me. Let's go ahead and see that velocity again. This is where we're looking for those reds and greens real close to each other. Sometimes, if it's broad enough, that's indicative of just the broader circulation high up in the atmosphere, not necessarily a tornado. In this case, we are seeing a tornado being indicated by radar for us. This is going to continue. Again, right there over the Violet Poydras area is where I believe this rotation to be, and moving east at about 25 miles per hour. There is a lot of lightning. There's a lot of rain associated with this. It is nighttime. This is not the time to go out and try to see a tornado. You know, we don't live in Oklahoma where you can see them on the horizon miles away. This is not that sort of situation. This is a very dangerous situation to be outdoors. In fact, I would like folks in the Violet Poydras area and other spots in eastern St. Bernard to start making their way to their safe place, which is going to be away from windows in the innermost portion of your home. And also, you definitely want to be prepared, you know, to hear some loud winds outside in addition to the thunder. Who is that? Is that Rita? Thank you so much. Rita's one of our producers. She just brought me a little bit of water. Because for those of you just joining us, we've been on for a little while talking about the heavy rain over the city and now, of course, discussing this tornado warning that is in effect there just to the west of Violet. I mean, I really think this is most likely over top of the Violet Poydras area right now. Okay, we've got John Snell on the phone. John, you crossing the causeway right now?
I am. I'm not a big problem right now, Shelby. I've actually just, my timing's been pretty good.
Yeah, your timing was really good because it was bad about an hour ago on the causeway.
Right. Well, I can know that from being on the other side where I kind of got looking at radar and was anticipating a pretty eventful trip. Lots of thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
My alarm clock normally goes off at 3 o'clock, and conveniently it went off about 2:56 this morning to a loud clap of thunder. I think clap would be an understatement. Kind of the rolling
Mother Nature's
thunder.
alarm clock is hits a little differently, doesn't it?
I think so. So it's a nice, you know, I think probably a way that, excuse me, I haven't used my voice yet this morning, so you have to pardon me. But I guess this rain will be good for a sinus drain. But, you know, I think for a lot of people who do have to leave in the next 20 minutes or so in the city, probably going to see a pretty eventful experience. And as I get to the point here where I'm about to be in the Vets, maybe West Esplanade area, in about a minute, you can see on radar it starts to really pick up that line of storms. And I think also just looking at it, probably Slidell would be an area also, Shelby, that if people have the opportunity, if they have the convenience of not having to leave, it might not be a bad idea to stay put for a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, that line that crossed the causeway about an hour ago that you thankfully did not drive through, I would have recommended you even waiting on that, is now right over the twin span. Within the next 15 to 20 minutes, John, it's going to be past that. So all of our commuters coming in from I-55, the causeway, and the twin span will all be safe to come in the next 15 to 20 minutes. But at this time, I do not recommend twin span commuters trying to make that trip at this moment. Give it another 15, 20 minutes and you'll be in better shape, although it still could be very heavy rain once you get to the South Shore.
Well, that's the thing. It's a swath of rain. What it looks like, it's about maybe in the neighborhood of 5 to 7, 8 miles wide, and about 20 or 25 miles long, if you will, where you get into that really intense, on our radar app, that intense red that at least thankfully is moving, although causing enough of an issue and dumping enough rain to cause some ponding. I'm at West Esplanade and Causeway right now. There's a little bit of puddling, but not an issue, and then I'll let you know as we get up on Vets how it's looking there. Yeah,
the only underpasses, I'm not sure how you get in, but the only underpasses that are closed right now, John, just for your information, Broad, Canal, Gentilly 610, and the Carrollton underpass are all closed for right now, but that's actually down. We had about 8 underpasses closed 30 minutes ago. As the heaviest rain moves out, I think the pumps are starting to slowly catch up, but there's still a lot of puddling on the roadways.
Well, I will say I went through some a construction area on the way in and experienced something I had not there, and that was a little bit of standing rain, and if you weren't careful, some hydroplaning. And now here I've just come through onto the approach of the overpass on Causeway, and in fact, there's water all across the road in the Lakeside Shopping Center area.
Yeah, and I don't want to neglect our viewers, John, who are in St. Bernard Parish. There's actually a tornado warning on the front end of this line for our viewers in the Violet and Poydras area. This also includes spots like Reggio, Woodlake, Shell Beach, Hopedale. This is just north of Delacroix, so you guys are I think going to be safe from this because the storm is generally moving east. But again, there is a tornado warning in effect for St. Bernard Parish, and that is moving east. Folks in Shell Beach, John, not even seeing much in the way of rain right now, a couple of light showers, but Mother Nature's alarm clock may be waking them up with that thunder as this storm that may be producing a tornado. Again, just looking at the velocity, we do see a little bit of a couplet. I'm not as impressed now as I was earlier. It seems as though those winds are not as tightly wound, if you will. But we have to remember we're a little ways from the Slidell radar, so this is shooting a little higher into the storm, and we did have indications of a possible tornado there. The National Weather Service has gone ahead and continued this through 4:15 this morning. So we have another 20 minutes or so on this tornado warning as it makes its way toward the eastern parts of St. Bernard Parish. I think it's important to note Chalmette is no longer included in this, and even when it was kind of on the northern end of that storm. So that tornado warning continuing. I'm going to keep watching for any developments with this. I want to just, before we toss over to Josh Robertson, I want to give a quick update. Again, Violet, Poydras, Reggio, Woodlake, Verret, Shell Beach, and Hopedale, or Verret. I apologize. I'll get the correct pronunciation on that in just a minute. Verret. Said it right the first time. Thanks, Rico. We are looking at those areas needing to be in their safe place, which is going to, again, be away from windows, lowest floor of your home, probably a bathroom or a closet most likely. And yes, unfortunately, it's worth waking the kids up to get them into a safe spot. So I want folks to go ahead and do that. Sounds like Josh Robertson has an update for us. So let's just get a quick check-in with him, and then we'll get right back over here to give you an update on this storm.
Yeah, Shelby, just actually, weirdly enough, I'm going to kind of describe what the drive was like in for me. I live in New Orleans, so I'm going to stay in that area, but actually, I was woken up by the storm this morning, and I actually turned on the Fox 8 weather app, and you were on, and you were literally saying, hey, if you're tuning in right now, you probably just got woken up by the storm. That was me. I was one of those people. So I was glad I tuned in. I was trying to understand what was going on. There was flooding right outside of my door. Actually, if I wouldn't have driven my car into work and I would have waited probably another half hour or 20 minutes or so, my car actually maybe would have started to take on water. I kind of live near the Central City area, and so that area right now, and driving into work, going through South Claiborne, those areas, there's a lot of flooded streets out there right now. It can be pretty chaotic. Tons of lightning and thunder, as we've heard, although that's maybe started to die down in the New Orleans area. I'm not really sure since I got in, but even Norman C. Francis Parkway, right where our Fox 8 studio is, right across the street from that are actually one of the 2 lanes on Norman C. Francis was actually flooded. There was a car actually right out front of our Fox 8 studio with their hazard lights on. They were up on the neutral ground, and because I saw them, I didn't drive through. I went a different way to get into the studio. So there's going to be flooded streets out there this morning, and you kind of mentioned it, Shelby, earlier with the underpasses, and that's what I'm going to look at here just a second for you. There are currently about 4 underpasses closed. These are all those blue dots you see in some of these areas here. Just looking at one, that looks like the Gentilly 610 underpass. All those are closed right now because of flooding, and a lot of these underpasses, I mean, it's not an odd thing for them to flood when we have, a hard rain come through like this. All the red dots, though, is something to keep an eye on. All of these red dots are reported accidents. Now, I would assume, I wouldn't believe that all of these were, crashes or something like that. A lot of these are probably stalled out vehicles, and it's because this is a lot of red dots popped up on our map here. And when we've used Streetwise in the past, we don't usually see this like this. So there's a lot of traffic accidents reported in the area, and so some of those could be stalled out vehicles. So if you're out driving right now for any reason, especially in the metro area, it's going to be a little bit chaotic. You're going to see some streets with some flooding. You may have to figure out another route pretty quickly. But again, just on my drive in, Shelby, it was hectic. There was a lot of rain, a lot of flooded streets already, and I was just trying to get into work as fast as I could. I'm looking at the Entergy Outage Map too. It looks like over here near this kind of looks like West End, maybe part of Lakeview a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. I know this is kind of the West End area, close to it, but a lot of power outages here in that area right now. If I click here, yeah, it looks like over 3,000 customers are affected right now just in that area alone, just kind of looking at the power outages. Not too bad anywhere else that I'm seeing, although there's a couple little spots here and there. This is kind of, so that's just one customer. So there are some scattered power outages in certain areas. If I zoom in here, looks like there's a square block over near St. Charles that might be without power right now. But yeah, going back to this NOLA Ready Streetwise here, again, those underpasses, if you're familiar with the area, you kind of know which underpasses we're talking about. As the Canal Underpass, looks like Gentilly 610, the Carrollton Underpass is a popular one that does take on water. And again, all of these accidents, I can't tell you these are all stalled out vehicles. Obviously, we have not visited all these areas, but this many traffic accidents reported right now, or traffic incidents, I should say, reported right now on this map that we're seeing, I got to believe that some of those are possibly stalled out vehicles, because I saw at least 2 just driving in. And so, going across South Claiborne, I saw a manhole cover with water spewing out of it, shooting up into the air. Again, parts of Norman C. Francis Parkway right now are taking on water, and I had to take a different route. So right. I'll keep looking around, Shelby, but we'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, the update there on Streetwise NOLA is super important for folks maybe trying to get their commute started. And notably, less underpasses are closed now than were about 30-40 minutes ago as this line was moving through. So that indicates to me that maybe those pumps are catching up. But Josh mentioning his drive-in a bit dicey, of course, because of this heavy rainfall. Now, I'm showing you the rainfall rates. Guys, I've been showing this throughout the morning for those of you who've been with me or for those of you just joining me. Again, the key here is we look for the purple. The purple is problematic rain. Now, some of those dark green areas can be problematic too, but purple is definitely problematic because we're talking 4 inches an hour of rain or more. The tornado warning in St. Bernard Parish has been canceled. We talked about how that rotation seemed to be opening up, weakening a little bit, and sure enough, the National Weather Service went ahead and canceled that tornado warning. I still want folks in the Hopedale, Shell Beach areas to be wary. Some very strong winds are possible. In fact, the National Weather Service, just want to make sure I get this exactly right, at the Lakefront Airport did report a thunderstorm wind of 39 miles per hour. So some strong winds moving along with this line of storms. On the backside of the line, we still have a little bit of rain falling, but again, at a much lighter rate. The heaviest of the rain has now notably Looking at the twin span here, it's going to run right here, right there near Slidell. We do still have some very heavy rain falling, but I think anybody heading out right now from Slidell would be able to get across the twin span with a much better drive than you would have about 15 minutes ago. So I told you just give it 15, 20 minutes. Here we are at 4 a.m. and I'm telling you, if you're crossing the causeway, you're in good shape. We just heard from John Snell a few moments ago, who was making that drive himself, and he said that he wasn't having any issues, kind of timed it just right coming in behind that line of heavy rain. If you're trying to take I-55, maybe from Ponchatoula to get down to the South Shore, again, heavy rain falling in parts of St. Bernard Parish, heavy rain falling in parts of Plaquemines Parish, north of the lake in eastern Slidell, pushing into Hancock County. My folks in Mississippi, you guys haven't necessarily got in on it yet. You may be hearing those rumbles of thunder are starting to get some heavy rain in the Kill, but Bay St. Louis, past Christian, Waveland, it's coming. It's not there yet, but it's coming. And that heavy rain, again, is going to continue to push east. Now, I think it's worth noting that heavy rain really started causing problems in our river parishes early this morning. And look what we have now. Another thunderstorm producing rainfall rates of 4 inches an hour or more right there between Napoleonville and Convent. It's only going to take one of those sliding across an area that needs to pump its water out to cause problems. We had that slide across our area just about an hour ago in Kenner and Metairie, maybe about 30 minutes to 40 minutes ago in New Orleans, in parts of, our New Orleans neighborhoods. And that certainly caused problems. We catch another one of those, it's going to set those pumps back again. So we want those purple areas to stay away or to keep moving east very quickly so they cause less of an issue. Just to give you another recap on those purple areas, again, that's 4 inches an hour. And while this storm isn't sitting over areas for a whole hour, we translate that down to 2 inches every half hour, if it sits over you for that long, or even if this storm is just over you for 15 minutes. If you're seeing that purple, that's indicating that you could be getting an inch of rain in just 15 minutes. So that's rain falling at a really high rate and definitely problematic, as we saw several closures on the South Shore that Josh just updated us on, those streetwise.nola.gov. Great website and resource if you're looking for closures in the city. You can also download our Fox 8 weather app for just overall traffic information in addition to weather information. Looking at radar, you see that bright pink warning. That was the tornado warning for St. Bernard Parish. That has since been canceled. This line still producing very strong winds and very heavy rain, especially for our folks on the West Bank and into St. Bernard. I don't want to neglect our West Bank folks who are still seeing very heavy rain down there in the Crown Point, Jesuit Bend, Bayou Cane, Belle Chase, Violet, Poydras areas, all seeing very heavy rain. Chalmette, you are on the other side of it now. You still have a little bit of light rain falling, but you are on the other side of those strong storms. Those rumbles of thunder that you're hearing on the West Bank, yeah, guys, that's a lot of lightning. In fact, the strikes right now, if I zoom into just kind of the worst of this line, at times up to about 70 strikes of lightning stretching through St. Bernard Parish and parts of northern Plaquemines Parish and then over towards central Jefferson. So that's a lot of lightning in a small amount of space. Not a good idea to be outside for any length of time. Hopefully you don't even have to walk to the car. I'm getting a ding for a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Hancock County, Mississippi. So let's go ahead and switch it over. And we were just talking about Hancock County. I told you might be seeing some heavy rain in the Kill, but get ready because along the coast that heavy rain is coming. And sure enough, you're kind of getting it from both sides. See, it's pushing in from off the Gulf and also coming across from the river. So you are going to see kind of this pinch here where that very heavy rain and lots of lightning moving into the lakeshore area, Waveland, Bay St. Louis. Again, this is going to be a pretty strong storm. And because we saw those strong winds reported on the causeway, a 52 mile per hour wind gust on the causeway, as well as a 39 mile per hour wind at the Lakefront Airport. Because we've seen those strong winds, the National Weather Service kind of getting out ahead of this one and saying, look, we know that these storms can produce some pretty strong winds in addition to the heavy rain that they're producing. I'm going to switch it over to our velocity product. I just want to take a look for myself. This gives us any indication if there might be tornadic activity. I'm not seeing anything that necessarily indicates that right now, but we do see some strong winds moving away from the radar, which makes sense. That Slidell radar is what we have right there. Remember, those winds are moving away, so moving east very quickly. We have those strong winds in red moving away from the radar, so that's going to be toward Waveland, Bay St. Louis, kind of moving through the Stennis area right now and heading toward Waveland, Bay St. Louis very quickly. I mentioned that you may see some heavy rain in the Kill. Let's go back to those rain rates. I don't want to neglect our Mississippi folks because we do have some of those purples that I've been talking about, those very high rain rates that are continuing right across where that severe thunderstorm warned area is along the coast. And then also north of that in the Kill, we have some very heavy rain falling. The good news about that moving into Mississippi is that it's moving out of Slidell. So my Slidellians are happy with that. My Lacombe folks are happy with that, getting rid of it themselves. Hopefully it moves through our Hancock County just as quick as it moved through St. Tammany Parish. On the South Shore, we do have a little bit of lingering rain. You can see the progressive front of this line that's a little more north to south oriented, right? So as it pushes east, it's moving pretty quickly and kind of getting out of places. The problem with the tail end of this line is it becomes more west-east oriented. So as it moves east, you've still got the rain coming over the same areas. We prefer to see those lines more north-south oriented, like the top half of this line is, if you will, from about Lake Bourne up through Hancock County, Mississippi. The southern part of this line that's kind of lingering along the west bank and in St. Bernard Parish, that could be problematic for those areas because, again, it's producing very, very heavy rainfall right now, kind of between Belle Chase and Lafitte. Areas like Bayou Cane and Crown Point certainly getting a lot of that heavy rain. Delacroix is about to get in on that. Same with Shell Beach and Hopedale. No tornado warning for you anymore, but you are about to get in on some very, very heavy rain. All right, let's go ahead and zoom back out. We'll take a look at radar. I'm getting some updates from our producers who are taking calls in the newsroom right now about other issues that we're seeing. One caller just said that Severn is underwater, and so there is some flooding on Severn. Please be aware of that and try to avoid getting out on the roadways in Metairie. Let's see. Looks like we have a picture of some of that flooding in Metairie ready to go. If anybody has that and we can pop that up, that would be great. But until then, I saw another that picture Dominic said that he had ready to go. It was a picture from Twitter showing some flooding in Metairie, I believe.
Shelby, I can jump.
Yeah, what's up, Meg?
Good
Welcome, good morning.
Thank you, good morning. I can tell you I just came from the Lakeview area. Lakeview is underwater right now.
Yeah.
I know we had been hearing reports, I think, from NOPD about the underpasses underwater.
Yeah,
some are, some are not. Not all of the underpasses that I passed by on my way in are underwater at this point, but most of the streets in Lakeview definitely have a significant amount of water, with the exception of the major streets, Fillmore, Harrison Avenue, things like that.
So you were able to use some of the major streets.
Yes.
There was a point this morning, Meg, where there were about 8 underpasses, so a good portion of them that were underwater. At this point, though, we have 4 left that are still underwater, if you will, and I'm going to put this radar into motion behind me, and those are Broad, Canal, Gentilly 610, and Carrollton. So those are the 4 underpasses that are still, if not underwater, they're closed. So you shouldn't be going through them, even if you think it looks safe. We'd like you to avoid those areas. That heavy rain has since pushed out of spots like Lakeview, Mid-City, Gentilly. So those areas that are underwater, hopefully those pumps are taking this time to catch up and get that water out. But as we know, when rain falls at such a high rate, even our pumping system working at its very best, which sometimes it doesn't, but even when it's working at its very, very best, an inch an hour, a half inch hour, every hour after that, Meg, I'm sure that rain woke you up. And Kelsey, you as well. This very heavy rain was falling at a rate of over an inch in 15 minutes. So we can handle an inch in an hour, and it was falling an inch in 15 minutes. And so that obviously caused some very quick flooding and overwhelming of the pumps. The heavy rain is shifting east now, so hopefully those pumps are able to catch up before we have a couple of more storms that are going to be heading our way throughout the morning.
You know, and it did feel like I woke up, I heard the rain, and then the next thing I knew, it was flooding. I mean, it didn't seem, you know, typically if it rains for a couple hours, you think, all right, we're going to see street flooding. That's to be expected, but this just seemed to happen so quickly. And obviously, as you're saying, how much rain fell in 1 hour makes sense, but I guess because we were all sleeping, it happened very quickly.
I don't know if you felt this when you stepped out, Meg. If you stepped out the door after that heavy rain moved through, it might have felt a little differently to you. But when I stepped out this morning before the rain got here, or here in the city, I should say, it was already arriving in the river parishes. But when I stepped out, you could feel the moisture in the air, a very, very muggy feel. And that is what provided, and this time of year, we're in May now, remember? And Zach told us last week about some of those May floods in the past that just are ingrained in our memories. And the reason is we're getting to that point in the year where there's a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. So you get something like this pushing across the area, and you're going to see really high rain rates. As we talked about, those purple areas, I like to kind of extrapolate it down. It helps my brain think about it, and I hope yours too. An inch in 15 minutes is what you're seeing in those purple areas. So very, very heavy rainfall. But notice the city of New Orleans, while still under that flood warning, because we do still have some flooded streets, now on the backside of that heaviest rain.
And again, Shelby, you said an inch fell in 15 minutes in the city of New Orleans.
Yes, and well, more than that, because
trying to catch up.
Yeah, it sat over us for a couple of, about 30 minutes. So if an inch is falling every 15 minutes, let's just look at the last 3 hours, and I'm going to go ahead and freeze this for you. These yellow colors that you're seeing, Meg and Kelsey, this is indicating to us these yellow and slightly orange, that's 2 to 3 inches of rain. And this is, yes, technically over the last 3 hours, but we know that rain fell within about a 30-minute time span. So 2 to 3 inches of rain falling that fast. If 2 to 3 inches had fallen over 3 hours, we would have still had possibly a little bit of flooding in the city, but it fell in 30 minutes.
Wow.
So it really was a big downpour. Thankfully, it kept moving, which is giving us a break to catch up now before rush hour.
You know, something we haven't talked about a lot, power outages. Kelsey actually lost power this morning, right?
Yeah, I got woken up by it was hot, of course, hot this morning in our house, and saw some flashlight activity in the hallway, so knew the power was out, tried to get out of the door, which made for even more dangerous commute because you can't even see the street to know how flooded it is as you make your way inbound. And talking about the areas impacted, Meg, you mentioned you're near the Lakeview area. I'm near City Park. Flooding was intense, kind of spotty power outages, if you will, but according to this Entergy Outage Map, looks like the area, just like I said, right around City Park, around the Bayou, are the most impacted people by power outages right now. I'm trying to get that exact number of outages for you let's see, for Orleans Parish. Let me see if I can get that information for you in just a second here. But you can see it's mainly concentrated right around City Park, Lakeview areas, and that's where I was seeing, of course, those dark streets with flooding. So again, making for a really dangerous commute for people. And talking about those flooded areas, we're going to go to the NOLA Streetwise website here. I'm going to zoom out so we can get a better idea of what we're seeing. Looks like just 3 underpasses remain closed across the metro area right now, but we are still dealing with flooding all around. Meg mentioned flooding. Definitely for us trying to get to the studio this morning, we were all kind of having our little trading stories. Norman C. Francis, so the side of the street most of us have to come up the right way to get here, was flooded, so most of us had to use the street closest to the station and drive on the wrong side of the road just to get to the building. We couldn't even drive on the other side of the street. So flooding an issue all across the metro area. Again, I'm near City Park, normally about an 8-minute drive because no one's on the road with us in the morning. Probably took me closer to 35 minutes to get here because of all the different kind of maneuvering I had to do to get around the flooded streets. Had to reverse back up some streets because the flooding caught me off guard. Again, you can't see it until you're right up on it, and we always encourage you all to turn around, don't drown, and I was just too nervous to even mess around with those flooded streets because you just really never know. So a really trying commute so far this morning. I know everyone doesn't have the luxury, but if you can wait it out a little while, I just highly encourage you just to stay put until some of this weather gets past us because it is dangerous out there. Flashes of lightning, Again, power outages in some parts of the metro area, so red lights are out. Just really encourage you, if you can, to stay inside and kind of wait for some of this weather to pass. Let the pumps catch up a bit before you get out on the roads on this Monday morning. Meg, Shelby.
Yeah, Kelsey, I just wanted to emphasize to folks, you're saying maybe give it a few more minutes. And of course, a lot of folks in the New Orleans area maybe went back to sleep after those storms rolled through. Now they're waking up and looking at getting out the door, and it's not raining anymore. But the problem is that rain overwhelmed our pumps, so a lot of the streets are still flooded. As you're mentioning, there are power outages that could be leading to potentially some very dark streets and the inability to see how much water is actually in the roads. So just encouraging folks, even though it's not currently downpouring, and even though it seems like those storms are over, there is more rain coming, and we do still have some flooding on the roadways. We are now down to just 3 underpasses, Meg, that are closed. That's going to be Gentilly and 610, Carrollton, and Canal. Those are the 3 underpasses that are still closed. Again, that's down from about 7 or 8 earlier this morning as those storms were rolling through. So it seems as though the pumps are catching up and conditions are improving out there to some degree, but there are still many flooded roadways.
That's one thing I thought, Shelby, driving in, that, a lot of people are going to be waking up, going out to their cars this morning, their streets, and noticing that their cars are partially underwater. I saw quite a few sedans that already had water almost up to their doors, so that is not good news. But we just found out that the city of New Orleans is allowing people to park on the neutral ground. You could do that until 8 a.m. So if you're waking up with us, if you're hearing Shelby say more rain is on the way, go outside if you can, move your car to the neutral ground. At least that way you'll have a little bit of relief as this rain keeps coming in.
I think the worst has passed us. But there is more coming, and so I think it is worth still moving your car. Even though it's not raining anymore, you don't want to just say, now I can just leave it there. No, I would still go move it to higher ground if you live in one of those low-lying areas that can flood, because if it didn't already flood with that first round, this second or even third round coming may be kind of, the one that gets you. So go ahead and move those cars if you can. Again, unfortunately, this did come overnight, and a lot of folks might have been caught off guard. If you have that Fox 8 weather app, we send out an alert anytime we're going on air, which is exactly what we did before these storms started really nailing the city. We got on live TV and on our Fox 8 weather app to let you guys know. So we do send out those alerts. I try not to wake you up in the middle of the night unless it's something serious like you need to move your car because the streets are starting to flood.
Yeah, and that certainly applied to a lot of people. We actually have some new video just in of flooding at Causeway. Take a look at that. Charles Moore, we got that from him. And Shelby, wow. I mean, look at the amount of water there on the road at Causeway. We're talking about the underpasses. Obviously, that's under the interstate there, and
yeah, this is the main road.
Yeah.
This is the main road. There, you're saying this is Causeway. So wow, a lot of rain in a short amount of time can obviously cause these problems. I suppose it's easy to forget on normal, sunny, beautiful days like we had this weekend that we do live in a bowl. And so any rain that falls has to be pumped out on the South Shore. And those pumps, even when they're working at their best capacity, can do 1 inch the first hour. And we were seeing 1 inch in just 15 minutes. So that obviously overwhelmed the system.
How long are we expecting? I know you said another band is coming. Are we talking about rain all day? I mean, how much longer are we talking?
No, I don't think it lasts all day. I think probably through mid-morning. So probably through the Fox 8 morning show, we're going to be dealing with at least some rain. I do think this was the worst of it. This was kind of like the most widespread heavy band. And I should note, Meg, we talk a lot about the city of New Orleans. That's where a lot of people live and is most impacted. But I should note that spots like Bayou Cane, Crown Point, Jean Lafitte, Belle Chase, over toward Delacroix, they're in the thick of what we saw 30 minutes ago in the city. They're in the thick of that right now. So I don't want to neglect our viewers who are hearing this wild, 80 strikes of lightning just in this small area that you see on your screen. And of course, some heavy rainfall rates going with that. So not out of the question that these areas, who may have a little more drainage even than the city does, not out of the question that these areas are also seeing some flooding. And then remember, we had that severe thunderstorm warning in Hancock County Mississippi, that continues and is still in effect through 4:30, so another 9 minutes on that. And you can see that the heaviest of the rain, some of those high rainfall rates that I keep talking about, falling over Bay St. Louis, Waveland, and the lakeshore areas of Mississippi. That's going to be pushing east, but it's important to note that those areas could also be seeing some street flooding right now.
You know, as people are waking up and going outside, they're taking videos for us. I think Kelsey actually has another video from a viewer just in a flooding in their neighborhood.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry guys. We're trying to get some other stuff pulled up for you too. But yeah, this is Eric McDonald actually just sent us these tweets. If we can take these pictures, here we go. He tweeted us. He says that pumps are having problems keeping up here in West End area of Lakeview. You can see he tagged all of us, and he showed here an Entergy truck driving through the waves near his house. I'm going to make this full screen so you can see it. And you can kind of just see it. They have power on this street, but you can see how that roadway is flooding. And this is what happens when trucks drive through or cars drive through those flooded streets. That water gets pushed into sidewalks, sometimes into homes. So, of course, we always encourage people, if you do have to drive through a neighborhood with flooded streets, just do so gently so you're not pushing water into people's homes. He sent these other pictures as well, trying to get these pictures pulled up here. Give us a second. Here we go. He sent some more still pictures of the flooding in front of his house. You can see he's in like the West End area of Lakeview, and they got a pretty good bit of water there on the roadways, and it's going up to the sidewalk and into that person's lawn even there. Again, this is from Eric McDonald in the West End area. Shelby, he says his rain gauge hit 6.24 inches per hour. So he said he's getting a lot of rain where he is. Also wanted to give you an update on some of the power outages. Looks like things are improving. Actually, just got a text from my family in the Lakeview area, Lakeview City Park area. Power has come back on, but you can still see some people dealing with outages near the lake. Also saw some people in New Orleans East, a small pocket of New Orleans East folks dealing with some power outages as well, but looks like things are improving. You can see it stopped raining at least in some parts of the metro, so that helps if energy crews need to get out and start repairing power lines, power poles. So things do seem to be improving, but like we've been saying, if you can wait it out just a little bit, I mean, it's still pretty early, so if you can wait it out just a little bit, do so. We are still dealing with 3 closed underpasses in the metro area. That's 610, Gentilly, Carrollton, and Canal, all still closed underpasses in the metro area. But again, looks like things are improving. We'll keep an eye on things here from this studio, Shelby, and give you updates from what's happening on the roads and from viewers as the morning goes on.
Absolutely. And things are improving for now, but I do want to emphasize this point. The National Weather Service has reissued and extended that flash flood warning, and that will be through 6:15 this morning. Check this out, though. We've got this storm activity that has pushed east. So St. Bernard Parish, parts of northern Plaquemines, parts of the West Bank are still dealing with the very heavy rain that New Orleans dealt with just about 30-40 minutes ago. That said, there is more rain coming, and the rain rates, those problematic rain rates that we talk about, those are coming with it. Let me switch it over. Remember, we're looking for purple. Now, this is the biggest, widest swath of purple. That already cleared the area. But there are some storms that are producing rain rates of 4 inches an hour or more, which again, translated down is 1 inch in 15 minutes, a problematic amount of rain. And you're even seeing a couple of those purple spots moving into Kenner again. So that's going to be crossing Kenner, Metairie, and likely into New Orleans. Very heavy rainfall. So while conditions may appear to be improving for the short term, I'm going to switch it over to our future scan here because you guys know I love this. It gives you the next hour, which oftentimes is what you need to know before you head out the door. Let me see the next hour. Look, you see that very heavy band that's over in the river parishes right now, or that very heavy storm, that dark red area? That's one of those high rain rates that we don't want to cross the city. Look what happens. An hour from now, it's pushing out of Metairie and right into the city of New Orleans. So if you have that commute planned for about an hour from now, you're thinking about getting out the door around 5 a.m. To 6 a.m. That's prime commute time for a lot of people, and we could have more rain moving in. This break is helpful, and hopefully the pumps are able to catch up some. But again, a rain rate of 1 inch in 15 minutes is going to overwhelm the pump systems. It's going to close down underpasses, and it's going to flood streets. We are still not fully recovered from that first band of rain, and there is more rain coming. So again, looking quickly just for any, signs of strong winds or tornadic activity. That's not my issue this morning that I'm seeing. Again, we had one tornado warning issued earlier. We had some strong wind gusts with that front line that's now really pushing east, and there's a lot of lightning. But as far as the biggest problem that we're seeing this morning, it's not severe in the sense of tornadoes. It's severe in the sense of heavy rain and downpours with lots of lightning that we're seeing out there right now. Meg?
You know, and something else I saw on my drive-in, Shelby, the streets gurgling, the water gurgling up, you know, from the different manhole covers, which is never a good sign.
Yes, I know. And that is not a good sign. It shows us that those pumps are backed up, that they're struggling to keep up. And while the heaviest of the rain, again, has moved east and south of the city of New Orleans, there is more heavy rain coming. You can see how this line kind of bends back on us, and that back line that is clipping the river parishes, which got hit hard this morning, is about to move into Kenner and Metairie, which are still trying to recover from that round of rain we got an hour to an hour and a half ago, and then ultimately is going to likely hit New Orleans again, which will lead to flooding. So now is the time to move your car if you want to move it without being rained on. If you got lucky and didn't flood the first time, this next round could overwhelm the pumps even more and could get you. So if you have the opportunity to move your car, do it now. In the city, again, Meg, you mentioned that the city is allowing folks to park on the neutral ground. Obviously, a good move if you live in a low-lying area.
So, Shelby, did this system kind of stall over the city, or did it just bring so much rain and that's what's causing the problem?
Yeah, it actually moved, thankfully, fairly quick. This was not a stalling situation. The rain rates on this thing, just to show you once again, I always look for these purples. A lot of times we get these, you know, light to dark greens, a ½ inch to a couple of inches an hour. If it doesn't sit over you, it doesn't cause that big of an issue. You know, we get a lot of rain around here. We know how it goes. These purples, that's what catches my eye. I like this this map because it's easy to catch your eye of where the problem is. Purples are the problem. That's where you're getting 4 inches an hour of rain. Now, this didn't sit over us for an hour, so how did it cause all that problem? Well, 4 inches an hour is 2 inches every 30 minutes, is 1 inch in just 15 minutes. So that's how it caused the problem. It sat over us for about 30 minutes. And just to give you a picture, again, this was not a stalling, or sometimes you hear me use the term training storm, like those storms moving over the same area, like train cars on a track. This was neither of those. This was just a big downpour where we see these areas of yellow and orange in the past 3 hours having received 2 to 4 inches of rain. And just for some perspective, it wasn't 3 hours that this rain fell in. This rain fell in about 30 minutes. And so 2 to 4 inches of rain in 30 minutes is obviously very problematic, and we are continuing to see those problems out here. Anna, can you give me another update on that time, please? Okay, so we're just going to take one last look at radar here, put this into motion for you. And again, you can see that the heaviest of the storms are now on the West Bank and in St. Bernard Parish and Hancock County, Mississippi. But there is more heavy rain moving through the river parishes and into the metro area. Back to you guys.
For Shays, get the